Okay, cup of tea, check. Long, complicated book on philosophy, check. Welcome to this episode of the Discourse Collective, Free Will versus Determinism. Now, turn to the index of this book, or any other philosophical tome, and they make mention of determinism and free will in the index all the time. In this case, about 13. The question of the cause of things and their predictability has driven philosophers bonkers for the last 3,000 years. On the face of it, it's not a very important sounding issue. I mean, what does it matter if things have a cause and if that cause and its result can be changed? How does that affect us here in the real world? It matters because it has profound implications about if humans are free to make a choice or if we're simply running a predetermined path that can't be changed. It's driven much of our literature and theatre. It's guided how we deal with the big questions around moral responsibility and how to arrange our entire society in general and our justice system in particular. Now, no wonder then that this brand of philosophy has created some of the more weighty concepts in its wake. Necessity, causality, actualism, agent causality, along with casual, physical and mechanical determinism, are all part of this debate. But I'm not going to talk about them. Well, I am a bit, but they are almost impossibly complex and largely pretty dull. It's generally not what people care about. They care about, am I free? Discussions of this type often start by looking at the physics of the universe. Is there a straight line of cause and effect that cannot be broken? If nothing is outside of physics, then nothing can influence it. Since the moment of the Big Bang, A has influenced B, which influenced C, and so on, all in predictable ways. Since no outside force can affect this chain, it carries on from the moment the universe starts to the moment it ends. Contrary to this is the idea that there is some random influence, that this can, in some form of quantum mechanics, for example. Another idea is an influencer is a god who is outside of physics and changes things already in motion. How does this affect the discussion on human free will? Well, our brains are made of matter, so if the universe is on a fixed line of cause and effect, so are our brains. Your brain is simply following that A to B to C chain of events. Since you can't influence this, it leaves no room for free will. However, where random events occur, or where there is some kind of interjection by a god, then our brains are not held in this causal way, and there is latitude for free will. From the moment you wake up till when you go to sleep, you're making choices. Do I get out of bed? Do I hit snooze? Do I eat toast or cereal? Do I walk or drive to work? It feels almost impossible that we're not free, doesn't it? The voice inside our head is our own authentic voice. We can balance all of these various options for every decision that we need to make. How can that not be free? Let's take a simple choice. What to have for breakfast? Surely this is a great example of free will. As you start to think about what you'll have, you start to list off the options available: toast, cereal, pancakes. You'll run over all of the pros and cons for each option. You don't like the cereal flavour, there's only cornflakes. You're on a diet, so pancakes are out, and you don't really fancy toast. Actually, there are some apples in the bowl, and you're going to have a fruit for breakfast and be good. Decision made. That's free will right there, yeah? Well, what actually happened there? Did you really make a free choice? I don't think you did. And I'll tell you why. Where did those suggestions come from? The toast, the cereal, the pancakes, or the fruit? Your subconscious simply popped them into your conscious mind, the mind with the voice that goes with it. You asked the question, what is there for breakfast? And your subconscious offered you some choices. You didn't pick those choices. They were offered up to you. What about all those options you never thought of? Going out for breakfast, skipping breakfast altogether. What about the leftover birthday cake in the fridge that you'd completely forgotten about? Were you free to choose those, even if your subconscious never offered them up as options? It's an interesting idea that you can't choose what you remember and what you forget. You can't choose to remember the fact there is some birthday cake in the fridge. Your subconscious either will or will not present that as an option to your conscious mind. How can you be free to make a choice when you don't even choose the list of options that are presented to you? That's before we even start to look at the ways that the subconscious controls and manages the decision-making process. It's the relationship between your subconscious and conscious mind that most makes me a determinist. This is the idea of psychological determinism. The thoughts that enter your head and how your conscious mind deals with them are so influenced by your subconscious, you have absolutely no control over your subconscious. By definition, if you did, it would be your conscious. Your subconscious is there to protect you from the impossible and overwhelming nature of reality, which is that even for a simple choice like what we have for breakfast, there are billions of options. Imagine a truly free choice where you had to mull over every possible option for every tiny decision that you had to make. You'd never make it past the first decision. So your subconscious offers you a few options. You're not part of that process, and it's here that all of your personal traits and genetics and past experiences will be mixed together by your subconscious. Perhaps when you were a kid, you were eating your cornflakes in the morning and your dad walked in and told you that your grandma had died in the night. You were very upset and you cried for hours. Fast forward to the decision over breakfast, 20 years after your grandmother's funeral, and the only cereal in the cupboard was cornflakes. Your subconscious was trying to protect you from painful memories and told you to not have cornflakes but to have fruit instead. Your conscious mind did not see any of that. Rather, the idea of fruit just popped into your conscious mind. Now that's hardly free will, is it? Indeed, many forms of psychotherapy, mindfulness and other consciousness therapies are predicated on having to unravel how your subconscious is making choices or influencing your conscious mind. While you may scratch the surface, like finding out why you hate cornflakes, you'll never truly understand it. Now, when I have this conversation with people who feel that we do have free will, it's around this point they'll offer some examples of making a free will decision. They'll fling out their arms and say, "There, I was free to do that." But this argument is applied to that situation equally. Why not stamp your foot or stick out your tongue? Your subconscious suggested flinging out your arms, and that's what you did. It's a well-studied phenomenon. Often compared to an iceberg, the vast body of our mind is under the water, our subconscious. It's constantly making decisions that we're unaware of. Now, I've linked to an article, or a couple of articles, in the description below, if you'd like to read more about that. Sometimes our subconsciousness has made a decision up to 10 seconds before our conscious mind is aware of it, and simply passes that decision to the conscious mind. You don't get to change your mind. This is the option you will go for. It's also known that your decisions can be primed by outside factors. Advertising is a great example of this. So powerful is the understanding of how our minds operate that some techniques, such as putting single frames of content in adverts that our conscious mind are not aware of, are banned. Companies spend vast sums of money finding ways to make their products look, smell, feel, and sound in ways that will entice you to purchase them. Copywriters study how to write in ways that will better influence your purchasing decisions. Shops study the way that you look and move around their stores so that they can place products in ways that increase their sales. In the face of this psychological onslaught, the vast majority of which you're completely unaware of, how sure are you that you have any real say in the products that end up in your shopping basket? Now, those that watch this channel regularly will know that I'm a big fan of a good analogy. So imagine an officer in the army who is in charge of a battle. The officer is a sealed bunker and is utterly reliant on information coming in from HQ. HQ has a view of everything, real-time satellites, troop positions, everything. The officer has got nothing. Little bits of intelligence are posted through a small hole in the wall, and the officer reads these and then has to decide what to do. Sometimes the information is clear and ambiguous. Sometimes it's woefully confused and totally incorrect. Now the big moment comes, and the officer issues his commands to his troops. His squad enters battle bravely and is totally wiped out, or wins a famous victory, or something in between. Regardless, the results of that battle were not in the hands of the officer. So it is with your own conscious mind. We're utterly dependent on the information passed through our subconscious to our conscious mind. over which we have scant control. Of course, we take conscious action on this information, but that's a reaction, not a true choice. Another common thing I hear, most often from those with a monotheistic religious belief, is if everything is fixed and you have no say in anything, why do you bother? What's the point? Well, now we've looked at religion already on this channel, and I'm sure we'll revisit it. I'll put a link to the video I did previously up there. But this way of thinking doesn't make too much sense to me. In a deterministic universe, I still experience love and joy. I still love the sunlight on my face. The laugh of one of my children still gives me goosebumps. These experiences don't diminish just because I responded to those events in the only way I was ever going to. I still feel these things as much as a theist. It doesn't take free will or God to make these moments deeply moving. It's simply that on an intellectual level, I know it's the only response I could have had. I spend time being mindful of the ways I react, of how my conscious mind interfaces with my subconscious mind, not in an attempt to control it, but in an attempt to understand it. I try to grow and become a better person, not because I am free to do so, but because I gladly accept the illusion of free will. Our consciousness does, on the most part, an amazing job of letting us experience the universe around us in a controlled way. So, what's your opinion of free will and determinism? Please do tell us in the comments below how you see it. If you've had a good time watching this, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel and click the little bell so you don't miss any other episodes. To be honest, you don't even have a choice. You've got to. I will see you next time on the Discourse Collective.